I'm Mark Blevis. You're looking at a copy of my website on February 28th, 2016. Let me walk you through some interesting features that exist on my site that allow you to track what MPs are doing online. And if you're interested on issue-specific discussions, I'll offer some insight as to how you can understand more about what MPs are talking about and how you can use this information. Once you land on my webpage, there's this button here. What is your MP doing online? If you click on that, it'll take you to a page where if you've enabled geolocation features on your browser, that is, you allow the website you're visiting to determine where you are. What it allows me to do is pass along information to Google to say, hey, this is where I am, and then we can calculate MPs who are in your general area. I happen to live in Ottawa. Catherine McKenna is my MP, so it's already determined that Anita Vandenbeld and Catherine McKenna and many others in the Ottawa area are on my list. If I click on the listing for Catherine McKenna, you'll notice that up here on the map, it pops up a card that gives me some tombstone information about Catherine McKenna's online presence and her where I can find her. So her office, for example, her contact information, and then a slew of her social media properties, including this M, which if you click on it will take you to a page in which I've done a makeover, an analysis of her online ecosystem. I've done this with a number of MPs and continue to do it. So there's that. Now if I click on her name on either this box up here or this box down here, it'll take me to a page about Catherine McKenna, and this is where we start to get to the meat of what Catherine McKenna is doing online. And if we were interested in the environment, or if I'm a constituent of Catherine McKenna's, I can really start to dig into what she's talking about and why it matters. We start off, of course, at the top with the standard contact information, her website, her email address, her social media properties. That's the basics. We get into some meatier stuff here if we start to look at her Twitter account. We start off with her Twitter handle, her bio as it appears on her Twitter profile, when she joined Twitter. So Catherine McKenna joined on May 5th, 2010, and how many people she follows and how many people follow her. A lot of people get excited by the following. That is not the exciting part. The exciting part really is, what are people saying about Catherine McKenna online? Which issues are they talking about in relation to Catherine McKenna? And from the point of view of Catherine McKenna, what is she talking about, and how is she, what is she doing to energize the conversation and communicate with constituents? Now, I'm not tracking the overall conversation on my site. I'm just tracking the MPs. So what is Catherine McKenna doing? Over here, we can see that in the last 7 days, she's issued 127 tweets. If we mouse over these, the legend, we can see the pie chart lights up in the various sections for retweets, replies, and tweets. We'll notice that her retweet activity, so her amplification, sharing tweets that are put out by others, represents 43% of her traffic, or 55 of her last 127 tweets. That took place over the last 7 days. She broadcasts a lot, or communicates a lot, and that's 70 tweets, 55% of her activity in the last 7 days. And this razor thin pie piece is how many replies she's issued. So she's only responded to 2 people, or she's only responded twice anyways. So if people are asking her questions or making comments and looking for feedback from Catherine McKenna, she's not doing it on Twitter. That's the last 7 days, and we can see a very similar chart for the last 200 updates. Now, because Catherine McKenna is very active, her 200 updates occur over 11 days. Less active MPs might take a week or 2 weeks, sorry, a week, might take several weeks or even several months to get to 200 tweets. So their last 7 days pie chart might be very different from their last 200 updates pie chart. Lower down, we see how her activity plays out on a day-to-day basis, how many tweets she puts out. You'll notice that there's some days that she retweets more than she tweets. And over here, there's 2 days where she put out 1 reply on each of those days. Now, if we pick any one of these days, and any point on the graph for any one of those days, it'll take us to a page where we can see all the tweets that she put out during that time period. So we can see it was a prepared search based on that my site's click. It says from Catherine McKenna between February 22nd and February 23rd. So it shows her Twitter profile card. And then if we scroll down, we can start to see all the tweets, retweets, and replies that Catherine McKenna issued during that time frame. All right, so if we close that, it'll take us back to the site, and we can dig a little bit deeper. On the right-hand side here, we see 2 of her most popular tweets in the last 200 tweets that she's issued. We can see that on February 21st, she issued a photograph from an aircraft that she was on, a lovely sunset on a flight to Washington. And we've calculated this is her most popular because we've summed the likes and the retweets, which, if my math is correct, comes up to 154. And then we come over here, and her second most popular tweet has 81 likes and 69 retweets. So that's the stuff that people are finding popular and responding to. Over here, we have the hashtags that Catherine McKenna uses most often in her tweets. It's a word cloud, so the larger the word, the more bold the word, the more often it gets used. So if you mouse over CDN Polly, we can see that she issued 11 tweets that were, well, they were either tweets, retweets, or replies that had the CDN Polly hashtag in them. Biosphere had also, well, that's CDN Polly. Biosphere had 9 tweets that Catherine McKenna issued using that hashtag. So you can start to see how often she talks about these issues. If you're not familiar with Catherine McKenna, she's the Minister of the Environment and Climate Change, so it doesn't surprise us that she's talking about climate issues. But we might also get interested in what she's talking about with respect to Ottawa News or Ottawa City. Well, of course, this is where she lives. Her riding is Ottawa Centre, so it stands to reason that she is talking about those issues. But if you're interested, you might click on Ottawa City to find out what it is that she's actually talking about. Is she talking about specific issues, or is she just taking photographs and documenting activities in and around the city? Then we have a word cloud of the people that she mentions in her tweets. Now, it's not surprising for MPs to retweet others that mention them or who mention them. So when you're looking at MP tweets and you're looking at who they mention most often, it's likely to be themselves. It's a thing about politicians. They like to see their name. So Catherine McKenna, 53 of her last 200 tweets have her name in them, and they're probably all retweets of other people. And we can click on that if we wanted to see what tweets had her name in them that she issued. Connect to Canada, she tweeted about 5 times or mentioned them in 5 tweets. The Canada Research Chair was an event that took place recently. She issued 7 tweets that mentioned her. That mentioned CRC. And so you can go through all these and you can see who she's talking about. So you can see the issues that Catherine McKenna is talking about. You can see the people she's talking about, and sometimes they might overlap. So if you're interested in finding out who matters in Catherine McKenna's world of issues, you can find out by combining information gathered from the common hashtags and the most frequently mentioned people. If you want to follow Catherine McKenna's general activity, you can go to this page. This is a dashboard of sorts that shows you all of the 10 most recent updates on all of her social media properties that we're tracking. And you can filter. So if I just wanted to see Facebook, I could click on the Facebook icon. If I wanted to see Twitter, I could click on the Twitter icon. Catherine McKenna put out a number of videos during the election campaign. She's since made them all private. So her YouTube channel is essentially a non-issue at the moment. So you're not going to see any content from there listed. If you do go to her YouTube channel, you'll see that she has a playlist with 8 videos, none of which you can watch. Then we have her Instagram updates. Less active on Instagram now than she was during the election, but she still posts to it every now and then. If you want to follow other MPs or find out what they're talking about, at the very top you can either go back to the map and search them out in the map, or you can just pick the party that you're interested in, select from the drop down. I'll go to Gord Johns, an NDP MP, and here's Gord Johns' analysis. Now you'll notice that I was talking earlier about the fact that Catherine McKenna is very active. It took her 11 days to issue 200 tweets. Gord Johns is less active. It took him 125 days to issue his last 200 tweets. You can follow the graph over here. You can see that he's pretty active still after the election, and things have tapered off substantially since then. He's even had dry spells from through February. He hasn't really put out much, but all that information is here, and you can make those determinations on your own. If you have any feedback on the tool, any comments, suggestions, you can go to the contact page on my site. I'm always looking for ways to make the tool more valuable to people who are using it. If you have any questions, you can send me a note through that same interface. Thanks for watching, and look for more features coming soon.